Okay, fellas, finally getting back to assembling the rest of this 283. When we left off, we were putting the timing cover on, getting the harmonic balancer on it. Today, that task is I've got to retorque this main cap because I took it off to look at the bearings and to put a little fresh oil and grease in there. I've got to put my oil pump on it, set the height of the pickup for my oil pan over here, and get this cleaned up so we can stick that pan on permanent like. Now, one thing I want to mention here is I have the cheapest gasket set made. So it's got the cork gaskets here, and they work great. They have for many years. There's just a couple of things that we need to do. We need to get our silicone on, let it, and put our pan on slightly, just barely snug the thing up. No real pressure on the bolts, just enough to hold it flat, and let it sit. Let it sit until that silicone is dry, then tighten the thing down. You can actually tighten it too fast. The silicone almost acts like grease, and it allows that gasket to split and shoot out the side. That's not what we want. So on these engines, they are known for leaking in these corners, so that's definitely something we're going to pay attention to when we put our silicone in. I don't mind siliconing everything, but I don't want to use excessive silicone or only silicone except for on those intake gaskets. So hey, let's get this show on the road, get our torque wrench out, and leave on here. This is the oil pump drive for your oil pump. Comes from the distributor down, so we want to make sure we have that little plastic sleeve in so it helps us line the drive shaft up. I did put a gasket on the bottom of the pump here, or the top of the main cap, and then we're going to take and go ahead and set this dude in place. It dowels on there, so it should engage reasonably tightly. Use my don't want to put anybody's eyes out. Got our bolt. I'm going to go ahead and get some Loctite out right now before I do anything else, but I'm just going to Loctite that in, tighten it up, and then we'll drive our pickup tube into it. So I went ahead and I pushed this all the way up here. I have this thing canted up, so when I set my oil pan on there, it's going to push it down. I'm going to put a 1/8 inch spacer up here, so I push it down that 1/8 inch. When I put it on, I am going to also have to space it on the block for the gasket thickness. So here's our setup. A couple of pieces of wood here, 4 pieces of wood there. I should probably tape these down so that when I slam this pan on here, they don't fall off in the motor and I have to go fishing them out. So I'm going to do that. Another way you can do this is with modeling clay, but then you've got to start with more down and you bring the pickup tube up towards the pan. Pan's not too bad on the inside. That's pretty close already. I don't think we moved it hardly at all, but you definitely tell where it was hitting up here. Make one more attempt just to be sure. And I think we're good. One thing we should definitely do is we should tack weld that pickup on. You notice when I slammed that pan on, it was able to move that pretty easy. Yeah, I've had one of these fall out, so I'm just going to put a good hot tack on here and we're going to call it good enough. guys, so little sidetrack here. We're at a shop, and I've got the transmission for the 35 Chevy being built here, and they're dynoing this thing. You can see the spinning parts there, big electric motor running it through. Oh, he goes through all of the gears here, spins this thing up pretty hard and make sure that everything works. I like to have this guy do this so that we end up all of our clutches, everything inside of there gets lubricated, of course during assembly, and during this point right here it's spinning as fast as it's going to spin in the car going down the road. So make sure everything's working good, all the pressures are good, and as an added benefit we get lube on all of those parts in there so that this thing can sit for a while and it doesn't bother it one bit. So hey, I just thought this would be a cool little piece of some added stuff that happens outside. I've seen a lot of transmissions built on YouTube, but I haven't seen anyone throw one on a dyno like this, so I thought I'd include it here. Look at all these valves, motors.
Turn all of the, this thing will move sideways so you can put a front wheel drive on.
Okay.
This whole slide table moves.
Right. Hey, we've got an intake on, oil pans on, starting to mask off and cut out for the exhaust. I've got my spark plug holes already plugged up. Gonna have to do kind of a weird paint job for an engine, and I need to mask off my timing cover and the oil pan and the intake to be able to paint the cast iron parts. This thing's pretty incredible. I still can't get over it sitting from the 80s, just bagged up and sprayed down with ironclad corrosion inhibitor, and this thing is not all rusty. So I figure I'm probably going to have to do some serious cleaning, probably use some lacquer thinner and a spray gun and some towels and just kind of wet it down and wipe it up, try to keep from ruining all my gasketed surfaces and my paint that's already on parts on here. It is what it is. Just going to take a little bit longer, a little bit more attention to detail. I do have the transmission for the car, got a torque converter for the car, and it's starting to get really cold. So hey, we're going to work on this and try to get the 35 engine painted. That way it'll be dry enough we can mate it up with the trans and get it in the old car over here. All right, guys, so I think this is just kind of a light check. Just make sure these new lights aren't causing anything weird with the camera. Man, nice to finally have lights out here in the carport. And these, they're not expensive lights. These are the 10 cheapest 4-foot LED fixtures I could get on Amazon. And got them on a Black Friday deal. $124 shipped to your house. You got to do it. All right, you can see we got a water pump just loosely thrown up here on the engine. I did get a HEI distributor for it. Oh, and hey, you guys haven't looked at it close since we got done painting it. So you can kind of see nice, I don't know, titanium color maybe we'd call it. I think it'll go good with the frame color and all the other stuff going on with the old 35. It's kind of the next project is to roll this table with all this junk out of the way, get the car, move it outside and up on our lift so we can pull the body back off the chassis, swing the chassis back in, mate the motor and transmission together, and bolt them in the car. Yeah, the final drop in of the engine into the chassis, probably end up doing a bunch of prep work on the body, getting it ready, painting the firewall at least, so we can start, I don't know, what will we do next? Assemble the car. Hey, that'd be great. So at any rate, I'm gonna end this video right here. You guys, thanks for watching and stay tuned. More work on everything.